UCF is 3-0 to start their season. Kansas State is 1-3. That's not great. But what will a win mean for the Knights on Saturday?
You are Locked On UCF, your daily podcast on the UCF Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On UCF, your daily UCF podcast. I'm your host, Mike G. Thank you so much for making Locked On UCF your first listen of every day. Turn us up, turn us on, we'll turn it out. This episode of Locked On UCF is brought to you by our title sponsor, Mazda. Move and be moved. We're hoping that UCF will move Kansas State somewhere else on Saturday. So on today's show, we'll talk about what a win will mean for the Knights if they can go into Manhattan and come out with a dub. We'll talk about that defense, Alex Grinch defense that you and I talking about a lot this offseason, keeping K-State off the scoreboard. And then, as always, we're going to give our predictions to end the show. James, we're at a crossroads where a lot of Knights fans, admittedly, did not think that UCF would be here going into Game 4 of the season. As a matter of fact, you and I are part of a group chat where I can tell you, great guys, but boy, like their trauma, man. I can feel their trauma.
Yeah.
They've been traumatized by UCF football over the last few years. And to the extent that it's not only, I don't know, it kind of like you're just waiting on it to fall apart, come apart at the seams, the games, the recruiting. It just, UCF fans seem to have a tough time believing that what they're seeing and feeling right now is real. I'm here to tell you that it's real. We've done the work. We've covered the program. We've talked to the players. I've talked to the recruits. If you haven't seen those interviews, go back and listen to Dante Carr and Kane Archer speak. What Scott Frost and McKenzie Milton and Alex Grinch and these guys are doing, it's real. It is real. And I think a win and starting 4-0 on the season, what it will mean for this program is that we're for real. Now, if you win Saturday on the road in Manhattan, I don't care what Kansas State's record is, you got to start taking UCF seriously. Our own network voted them 15th in the Big 12. I never agreed with that. And now, look at them, sitting here at 3-0 with 3 pretty dominating wins.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, no one, even our own fan base, no one expected us to be here. I know it's really early in the season, and every single fan in the comments is screaming, "Oh, the past 2 years we've started 3-0. Last year we ended 4-8. The previous year 6-7 after the bowl loss." You have to understand, and believe me, as a UCF guy, this took some real convincing from Mike to me, but you got to have hope. This feels different, Mike. It just feels different. This team doesn't feel like they're walking into Manhattan expecting to get blown out like we did last time. It doesn't feel like they're having to go to Fort Worth and claw out a win in the final quarters. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like you are going in with an even matchup, with this game truthfully only being in favor of Kansas State because it's in Manhattan. Definitely a tough place to play, but our team's ready for this moment. I wouldn't expect them to walk out of there with a mark in the loss column, Mike. I don't. I think this team goes 4-0 this weekend. And what does this mean for UCF, Mike? This means the first 4-0 start since the 2018 season, where we went undefeated with Heupel the year after we went undefeated with Frost. All right.
Yeah.
We have not had a 4-0 start since that time.
Oh, the 2017 season, you're saying, was the last 4-0 start?
No. We went 2017, we went undefeated, and 2018, we went undefeated as well. So 2018 was the last undefeated start.
I would say this. In the last 10 years, 4-0 has not happened often. Obviously, they won every game in one of those seasons, but it hadn't really happened in 6 or 7 years here. So a 4-0 start is significant for this team. And your fourth win coming in conference play on the road sends a message to the rest of the league that you better buckle up your chin straps when UCF is coming to town. These guys have changed the culture, and I know they're going to get sick of hearing me say this, but I'm going to say it because it frames what I'm about to say next. I understand the slow death UCF fans died under Gus Malzahn. Slow torture. Absolute torture. And so what Scott Frost had to do, if you're a fan and you feel that way, imagine how the players felt in the locker room. Not believing possibly in the coach and the plan and the process. You've got guys believing again. And in the offseason, when I went through my usual work that I do with every team that I cover, talking to players directly, but also people around the program, boosters, it was clear that there was a mission by this staff to say, look, man, we've got to develop a winning mindset. Now, where does that start, James? You play sports, so you know. Your winning mindset is built in the weight room, man.
Oh, yeah.
Built in the offseason. It's built in training. I had a former college director of football operations tell me, he said, it's 1,000 hours of work for 40 hours of football in the fall. 1,000 hours of work. So when you are every rep, every weight, every time you hit that weight room, you're putting it all on the line, man. And if you can't do that in training, I can't trust you in a game. That's the message that Scott Frost has sent to his guys. Like, look, man, when you see your brother putting in the work, when you see him busting balls, every bead of sweat, every drop of blood, every ounce of energy expended in the weight room, in practice, in those hitting drills, man, I'm telling you, when it's the fourth quarter and you're down a touchdown and it comes down to who wants it more, it's light work. We do this every day.
Yeah. And I will say, Coach Duval got these guys right.
Yes, he did.
And I've spoken with some players that went through, and obviously Duval was in the summer, and I've spoke with some players about how fall camp was this year, and different philosophies in terms of fall camp this year in comparison to last year. I spoke with a few players that were on this team last year, and they said fall camp last year was the worst experience in football that they had ever had because of how hard they were worked in a not positive way. They were overworked. There was too much time in that facility, and you have to find the right balance. And having a guy like Scott Frost as your head coach, who's a man with multiple kids and a wife, he has been a player, he has been a coach, he's been in every position, and so he is aware of the things that happen in football and outside of football. And being able to balance those things, and then having an elite training coach in Coach Duval. These guys were prepped properly for this season. They were prepped properly for this season, and that's why. And Jack State, I'll toss it up to a fluke. Rough first game. Rough, get the jitters out.
Yeah.
But since those games, you've seen issues, but you've seen them get improved the very next game.
Yeah. They're
that is what you need to see.
Week. Yeah, they're getting better from week to week, and they say that the biggest jump comes between game 1 and game 2, but it doesn't mean that you stop growing after week 2. That process is ongoing. This schedule was a blessing to Scott Frost. You hear me out. Being able to start with Jack State, and it was rough, yes, but when Tayven got in there, it looked significantly easier. And then you got North Carolina A&T, and then you get a bye. And while that seems like an odd place for a bye for any team, James, it came at the perfect time for UCF to get something on tape as a first-year head coach again in Orlando. get the issues, reteach it, and say, guys, we got to clean this up, and then come back versus a P4 opponent at home and mop them up. I mean, look, I predicted the mop up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just like, guys, look, man, and you said it best. You were like, look, no offense to Gio, but offense to Gio. You're not built for this, bro.
He is not, and he was not.
Yeah, UCF came out with the win, and they came out with a convincing win. Now you've got Kansas State. They will be a tougher test.
Absolutely.
Absolutely no disrespect to Avery Johnson and his boys, but this will be a tougher test. I just think that people have underestimated what UCF is and what they can bring to the table. I don't care if they won 4 games last year. As far as I'm concerned, they left at least 3 wins on the table because of coaching malpractice.
Absolutely.
Now that you have a guy who's fully licensed to do this thing in the Big 12, I'm ready to see it on Saturday, and I'm ready to see it on the road. Road wins hit different, and I'm telling you, champions are made not necessarily in your own house. Champions are made when you go to the other guy's house. Yeah, and you go in his fridge and you get a soda and make yourself a sandwich and come home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. These road wins are going to be the big test. And UCF, unfortunately, has drawn the short stick in terms of starting conference play every year on the road. This year, no different. This will be a get-back game for the Knights. First year in the Big 12, they went to Manhattan and got stomped out. Unfortunately, I believe Timmy McLean was quarterback at that time. It was a rough time for the quarterback scenario. Now you have your guy in Tayven Jackson going in there. And I think I would be wrong to not bring this up. But this offensive line is going to be fighting their tails off for the late coach Sean Clark. This whole team is going to be fighting for the late Sean Clark. And that has made a widespread impact throughout all of college football. These guys will be fighting their tails off. So what does a win mean for UCF? It means honoring Coach Sean Clark. And I think that is what is going to happen.
Well said. We talked about Coach Clark earlier this week. And, I wanted to pay reverence to the man that he was and the lives that he impacted. And, I think he would have wanted these guys to use his memory as a rallying cry to go. His life's work was trying to prepare these young men for the game of football, but also the game of life. And he did that. So it's again, if you're UCF, every bit of whatever you got to use. For some guys, this will be their last year to play college football. And if you're Scott Frost, while you are rebuilding, you owe it to your team that you have now to win now.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm sorry. Like, it's not the players who you inherited. It's not their problem. The last coach messed it up.
Yeah.
It's not their fault that this is a rebuild. Doesn't mean you can't try to win now and treat it like you're playing for a championship every single weekend. 1-0 mentality every single weekend. That's what we're seeing from the Knights. So I think a win, what it means for UCF, it means that the culture has shifted. And they now have a winning mindset that is going to carry them far this season. Part of what's going to carry them far this season is this scoring defense. It's looking pretty good through 3 games, James. We'll talk about that scoring defense next on Locked On UCF. This episode of Locked On UCF is brought to you by our friends at Mazda. For those who believe it's not just about the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than just put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, and they keep the game moving forward. Look, this week's moment that moved the game forward is I'm telling you, is going to come from Tayven Jackson here on the road in Manhattan. He is a dude. He's going to continue to be a dude for Scott Frost and McKenzie and Milton, and we think that will carry UCF far. So when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. A Mazda, move and be moved. James, UCF is allowing a paltry 8.7 points per game. These guys are salty. They do not want you to score. They don't give a damn about what you got going on, but they don't want you in their end zone ever. Uh, this is probably the most important defensive stat that exists. You can bend but don't break. You can give up yards. Big plays are going to happen. UCF is going to play some outstanding athletes this season, but ultimately keep them out the end zone. You give your team a chance to win. What do you make of this defense here? There were a lot of outsiders that criticized the hiring of Alex Grinch. On Saturday, we get maybe to see whether this defense is for real or not. Like right now, they're doing well in some pretty notable categories. Now, I would like to see that rush defense improve a little bit, but right now they are third or tied for second in the league in points per game allowed. They are first in the league in passing yards allowed. And in terms of total yardage, they are fifth behind Texas Tech, Houston, Arizona, and BYU. This defense looks incredible.
Yeah, defense is the name of the game this Saturday. I think we both we've seen this offense run like a well-oiled machine. I mean, obviously NCAA, your cupcake. It's like playing against middle schoolers practically. All much respect to those guys, but the depth just isn't there in terms of playing a Power 5 team. UNC, you expect a little bit more pushback, but you didn't get much. You only had really 2 stalled drives, and every drive was pretty methodical. You did basically what you wanted to do and did really well converting on 3rd and 4th down. Defense is the name of the game, and you got to keep them off the scoreboard. And I would like it to be noted, Mike, this is the second best red zone defense in the country. Think about that. When is the last time you thought about UCF and keeping people out of the end zone?
Yeah.
I mean, this team has struggled so many years prior. I think 2021 or 2022 might have been a decent red zone stopping at the beginning of the year, and there was never any carry through. I would look for this team to carry that stat. These guys have to be successful in stopping people from getting in the end zone. It is a bend, don't break mentality. If you can force a field goal, you are in much better shape. If you can block a field goal, which apparently is becoming super common if you watch the NFL on Sunday with 3 blocked kicks, 2 of them returned for TDs. It is becoming more and more apparent that you can keep people out of the end zone with the playmakers that we have. And we're getting playmaking turnovers in the red zone. I mean, that is what you need.
That's absolutely what you need. But in other aspects as well, too. Look, the 3rd down defense has looked really good. Earlier this week, we talked about this. Jack State only converted 3 of 15 3rd downs on UCF. North Carolina converted only 5 of 13 3rd downs. And then North Carolina A&T, 5 of 17 3rd downs. And that number was a little bit skewed because it was such a blowout that at the end of the game, when UCF called the dogs off, they converted a few there. But man, I'm telling you, they went into the 4th quarter with only 2 3rd downs converted in that game. I cannot stress enough, this defense is playing with an edge. They're playing nasty. We highlighted a lot of those guys that we felt would be standouts. Now, look, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about turnovers as well, too. Important stat here for UCF. In game 1 versus Jack State, they forced 1 turnover, but they also coughed up 1. In week 2 versus North Carolina A&T, they forced 3 turnovers. They coughed up 0. And week 3 versus North Carolina, they forced 2 turnovers and they coughed up 0. We are 3 games into the season for UCF, and they have forced a bunch of turnovers, and they only have one meaningless turnover. I'm telling you, taking care of the football, but forcing the other team to do the exact opposite is definitely a great way to win football games. And it starts on defense. It starts with them getting the offense the ball back. Sometimes the best defense that you can play is good offense.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's going to have to be part of the equation here for UCF on the road. I've been a little disappointed in the run game, and I'm hoping that we see a little bit more from Jay Nixon and Myles Montgomery in this one, because the defense is going to need them to grind up clock and keep UCF's offense on the field and the defense off the field. Because when they're on the field, Avery Johnson doesn't have a chance to get going. Limit their offensive possessions with good offense, but also help your defense as well too. Look, before we move on, I did want to spit one more stat at you. Time of possession so far for UCF this season against Jacksonville State. They held the ball for 31 minutes versus 28 minutes. Against North Carolina A&T, they actually lost to time of possession by 12 minutes, but we know why.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, just a lot of quick scores. I mean, that game wasn't close. They won by 61, for goodness sake. But more importantly, versus North Carolina, their first P4 opponent of the year, they won time of possession 33 minutes and 47 seconds to 26 minutes and 13 seconds. This is more the range I want to see UCF in. Plus 33 minutes in time of possession means that you are controlling the pace of the game, especially if you're finishing drives. And of course, you talked about that red zone defense being so good. If you can keep them off the scoreboard, but you can hold the ball for an extra 7 minutes, that's a ball game, man. I don't see how they don't come out of Manhattan with a win.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Time of possession is going to be big. Third down defense is going to be big. And like you said, we've been phenomenal on third down. And Kansas State, that kind of pairs well with their tragedies on converting on third down offense. I mean, this team against Army and North Dakota were horrid on third down. I think their best third down percentage was against Iowa State. And I do want to say they have some ballers on this offense. I'm not gonna lie. And here's the thing: you never know when Avery Johnson is a dynamic athlete. He can play like a dynamic athlete. He has had a rough go of it so far. That doesn't mean that he can't turn it on. That doesn't mean that he can't figure it out. They've got some ballers on this team. Joe Jackson being one of them. He's averaging about 4.5 yards a carry. No touchdowns on the year, but he's their current running back, I believe. They've also got Devon Rice, who is their backup, with 18 carries, 77 yards on the year, with 2 touchdowns. And then JB Price as well, who's a backup. So he's not playing much. But I believe Dylan Edwards is coming back for this game. I believe he was a transfer in from Colorado. Correct me if I'm wrong. But then you also got Jace Brown, who's going to be on the outside at wide receiver. He's going to be their main guy. He had over 800 yards last year with 5+ touchdowns. He's their main returner back from last year's squad and in terms of catches. I would look for that. Those guys are going to be the guys that you need to key in on. And for the UCF fans out there, when you're watching Kansas State and you see Jace Brown have the ball or you see Dylan Edwards have the ball, those are going to be the guys that you need your defensive playmakers to stop. And I think the guy, and I want you to give me one too, Mike, on the defense. But I think Lewis Carter is going to have another great game.
Yeah, I like the pick of Lewis Carter. Before I give my guide, there was definitely a stat that I wanted to talk to you about here. Talking about that third down defense, James, Kansas State has had a rough go of it on third down.
Yeah.
Trying to convert on third down. If you're UCF, you can't suddenly let these guys be good at the thing they've been bad at for 4 games. So
Absolutely.
how bad have they been? 5 of 13 on third down here versus Iowa State to open. That was kind of a sloppy game. But against North Dakota, 5 of 13. Again, Army, 2 of 9 converting third
Jeez.
downs. 2 of 9. And then against Arizona, they were 3 of 13 converting third downs. I just want to remind everybody, Arizona got voted dead last in the poll. 16. I know UCF was 15, but woo, boy, you gave up what to Arizona? You only converted 3 of 13 third downs to Arizona. That is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what to do with that, man. I am in shock.
Yeah. In my mind, if this is UCF's game to lose, and I think that's very important because in every single preseason prediction, every person that I know from UCF is saying this is a write-off loss. I mean, you automatically write this off at the top of the season as a loss. And every single Kansas State fan was saying, this is Kansas State's game to lose. If they lose this game, something horrible happened.
Yeah.
You're not in that position anymore. It's the opposite. This is UCF's game to lose. Kansas State has to earn this win. I don't care what the line says. I do not care what the line says. I've been saying it since the beginning of this year. We have playmakers on this team. It is about getting them the ball. If we do not win this game, it is because Dwayne Thomas didn't touch the ball enough. If we do not win this game, it is because the defensive line didn't get enough pressure on Avery Johnson and wasn't able to contain him. It is about using and scheming the talent that you have. You have talent. It's UCF's game to lose.
Yeah. I am hopeful. I'm very hopeful here that UCF can go out and play the type of game that gives the fan base hope that this is real. And so they're going to be looking at that. Look, man, Kansas State, I know they're 1-3. You can't overlook them. You know, for me, it just comes down to those guys down on the D line. You know, you asking me for defensive players. I'm looking at Nigel Leak, Rodney, and Sincere, and I'm just thinking these guys just have to ball this game. They got to go out and they have to make sure that they can't run the ball. Take that away from them, and I think that UCF wins this football game here. But, you know, we talked about Sincere Edwards in the offseason. You know, we talked about Nigel Kelley. We talked about Rodney Laura every single week. I love what they have here. These guys play with heart. They play with passion. And it seems as if they trust the plan. I think that Alex Grinch has did a good job putting these guys in positions to make plays and force turnovers, and they've done it. I don't know what else that we can ask for. My only small little criticism is that I would like to see them stack even more sacks than we've seen. But just when you get to the quarterback, get that guy on the ground, man, mess his day up, mess his week up. Make sure that he remembers every single day the day that he played you. So this is gonna be a fun game on Saturday. I can't wait. I'm a little we're gonna get to our predictions here right after a quick word from our sponsors, but I am a little happy that it's an early game.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
So we don't have to stress all day.
Waiting for it.
Knock this one out at noon and then let everybody else stress over their teams. But we will know the results of this one by 3:30-ish Eastern time. It's gonna be fun. Look, let's get to our predictions here. I'm ready to call. I'm ready to call this one. I'm not sure how I'm ready to call it, though. I've gone back and forth. I have a prediction. I had a prediction earlier. Will I change that prediction? We'll talk about that right after a quick word from our sponsors. This episode of Locked On UCF is brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP. Who delivered? powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving more every time you order. These players deliver when it mattered the most. The game hasn't happened yet, so let's just imagine this for a second. Close your eyes and imagine Sincere Edwards with 5 sacks on Avery Johnson. And imagine that he delivers that. And imagine that your Saturday is the most amazing Saturday that's ever Saturday because Sincere Edwards got to the quarterback. And when he delivers, it's probably because he uses DoorDash. And just like he delivered, DoorDash is going to deliver for you every Saturday with DoorDash streaks. You save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive, fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period goes through November 18th, guys, so please don't miss out. This episode of Locked On UCF is also brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a huge flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugars and 0 crash outs. What I love the most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere, and you get the boost when you need it. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or on Amazon today. Get in the game with 5 Hour Energy. Prediction time. I called this one earlier this week, and I have to tell you, I went to sleep. I called this one 33-20. I went to sleep, and I thought about it, and I was like, I'm sticking with 33-20. The Knights by 13. I like them by multiple scores. I think it's close going into the beginning of the fourth quarter. We see an early score by UCF in the fourth quarter, and then Alex Grinch's defense holds Kansas State off the rest of the game. Maybe a field goal to push them to 20, but I like the Knights to control this one. Kansas State is a solid team. There was a reason they were a top 25 team coming into the season. But honestly, I don't see it. I think that this UCF team has been so massively underrated by everybody coming into the season because of what happened last year that this year they announced to everyone, forget last year.
Yeah.
We put last year behind us. And if you're going to think we are who we were last year, you're going to get your butts beat. So I like the Knights 33-20. Look, 30 points on any P4 team in today's era of college football is going to be tough. But I think there are some opportunities there for UCF when you look at what Kansas State has been so far this season, man. 26.5 points per game. That's the third worst mark in the Big 12 this year in terms of points given up. So if your red zone defense sticks, and I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I think this is a bad matchup for Kansas State, honestly. And then in terms of rushing yards, they're the fourth worst team in terms of giving up run yards. So maybe an opportunity for Myles and Jaden to bust out. And then you've got the best pass defense in the league, and they're okay in pass defense, but man, in like 3 other categories, they're failing. Yeah. And UCF looks strong there. I think that 177 yards per game is okay, but Dwayne Thomas Jr. and these guys, I don't know. I see them going out and balling in this one. I like the Knights with some big plays in this one, and I will even go as far to say I think Dwayne Thomas Jr. 125 yards and a tutty in this one.
Whoa. I like it.
I think he balls in this one.
I like it. I'm going to change my prediction.
All right.
And it's actually for the better.
Okay.
I think my previous prediction was 31-28. I think it was going to be close with a field goal at the end. You win the game. I don't want to I don't want to manifest the cardiac knights, as we like to call ourselves. So I don't want it to come down to a field goal at the end. Therefore, I'm not going to say I think it's going to. I'm thinking 17 for the Kansas State Wildcats
I like that.
and 27 for our UCF Knights with 3 TDs and 2 field goals from Rulas, with a nice 10-point win coming from our
Ooh.
Knights. That's my prediction, because I also think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I don't think it's going to be extremely low scoring, but I think it's going to be a lower scoring game because something that one of our amazing viewers pointed out,
Okay.
it was the fact that our rushing offense isn't great, but their rushing defense isn't great. And so it's going to be a battle of whoever can figure that out first. And I think that's really important to acknowledge, because it creates an opportunity for explosive plays. So I think that something is going to happen in terms of explosiveness for the Knights here. I would love to see them kind of patch through a couple gaping holes in that Kansas State D line. I think there's an opportunity there.
I think there's an opportunity there. I love that pick. 27-17 is what we're going with here.
Yeah.
Is what you said. Yeah, I like that pick. I could see anything in that range of like 27 to 35 points for UCF is the sweet spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
James.
100%.
This offense, man, the scheme matters so much. And when you get the right players in the right scheme, everybody looks better. Everything feels better. It just, in the group chat that we're in, it was funny. Someone had pointed out how frustrating it was seeing Castellanos balling for Gus at Florida State when he refused to play him at UCF.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but laugh at that comment, right? Like, life is so much about timing and luck, but the harder you work, the luckier you get in life. And so all everybody sees is the result. Somebody who's close to me, when we started this channel, there were a bunch of people that were like, "Oh, he's not a UCF guy," and they were saying all this stuff, right? And they don't know me, so I get it, right? One of the things that you probably come to know about me is that if you think you're going to outwork me, good luck. I'm gonna stay up to it, man. It's 1 in the morning. We're recording at 1 in the morning right now.
Yes, sir.
am going to work my butt off, right? And so if you want to beat me, you better get ready, because I make everything a competition. I don't like to lose, and I want to be the best at everything I'm doing. I think UCF has that attitude right now. I think these guys don't want to be outworked, and I think they're going to show that on Saturday. And so when you get the right players with the right coach and the right scheme with the right messaging, you get results from guys who maybe, again, I'm making some personal parallels here, but are there guys who are probably more talented than me naturally? Sure, right? But if you're going to rest on your talent and your talent alone, good luck. I'm going to come get you. And that's where UCF has to be right now. Until Scott Frost closes the talent gap, they have to close the gap with work ethic.
Absolutely.
That's what shows up in the fourth quarter, man. I think that's why I like UCF by multiple scores in this game. And look, I could be wrong. Maybe it doesn't play out that way, but it won't be because these guys didn't go out and lay it all on the line on Saturday. Everything I've heard about this program and the attitude around what they're building right now says that that's likely to happen on Saturday, and I just can't wait to see it. So, put in that work, UCF Knights. We're going to be here to talk about it. James Duncan, a UCF sports commentator extraordinaire here at Locked On UCF. He's also a contributor at UCFKnightzone.com. Please go over there to check out all our written work. And thank you guys so much for making Locked On UCF your first listen of every single day. It's another big moment here at Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll from Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A Locked On college preview only Locked On can do. Catch Locked On college football kickoff every Thursday throughout the season and only on Fire TV. And while you're at it, catch us here tomorrow on Locked On UCF.